puts that alternative to the people of our country. And in this instance, I believe that this resolution ensures that we can continue with that project. It ensures that we can effect accountability, but it also ensures that we place the interests of the people of Cape Town first. Mayor Patricia de Lille has agreed to resign as Mayor of Cape Town, effective from the 31st of October in 2018. And it's an opportunity, equally so, for the caucus of Cape Town to take stock, to regroup, to unite, to focus on the delivery for people. And what we will do as a party is ensure that we begin the process of electing a new mayor with immediate effect. Also want to state that the DA has made a decision to withdraw all internal disciplinary charges against Patricia de Lille. Any other investigations that are taking place in the city fall outside this particular agreement. And I want to highlight the fact that we pride ourselves as a party of clean government. We're a party that is obligated, like any other organization, to say when there are allegations against any person in our organizations, that those must be dealt with, they must be investigated. And in fact, we believe it's what inspired us to do the work that we needed to do. It never is an easy one to take on one of your own, but I think as people at home know that we wanted to always act and take the best interests of the people up front. And it's not easy when it's one of your senior people in the organization. But what I'm most confident of is that in fact, throughout this painful period, we've acted in the best interest of the people of Cape Town, and I believe this resolution paves a way forward on that basis. We believe without a shadow of a doubt that this gives us an opportunity to close a chapter on this matter. It gives us an opportunity to focus on the business of what we have to do. And I as leader take pride in the fact that we now can focus on what tomorrow must be and what Cape Town is going to do. I also want to acknowledge that as a colleague and a friend, I've worked with Mayor Patricia de Lille for a long time. I respect her. I respect the caliber of politician she is, her contribution to the people of South Africa and to the city of Cape Town. Her agreement to resign as Mayor of Cape Town doesn't mean she's moving away from the DA. We continue to build the project of an alternative South Africa, and we will do so. And she served this great city over a long period of time, and in that time she's achieved great things. This is one of the best run cities in the country and still maintains its position in that regard. And without doubt, it's in that city that we've ensured that we continue our project of building communities that are inclusive, ensuring more of our people can find access to work, and I'm grateful for that work. And I think this agreement certainly poses a way forward for us to continue that work. We've certainly, as an organization, we pride ourselves at the fact that we take all the necessary steps to effect all accountability. And it's in that context that, in fact, we find this agreement, and we believe we can move ahead in a manner that continues the great work that we've been doing here in the city of Cape Town. I'm going to hand over to the Mayor, and then we'll take questions from everybody.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for coming out this morning. I'm very pleased to announce today that I've reached an agreement with the Democratic Alliance, as a leader has said, because I've always maintained that I'm innocent and that the allegations against me have never been proven. And this is why I always insisted on opening up the disciplinary hearing to the media. Now that the charges have been dropped and withdrawn, I can now get on with my life and invest the additional time that I will have on focusing on the real reason why I accepted the position as mayor in the first place, which is to build a better city, to build a better country, to build an alternative to the ANC, and to make sure that we save our country. I remain committed to investing whatever little time I have to complete the project towards the transformation of the city of Cape Town. As Musi has mentioned, I have agreed to resign as mayor as from effective the 31st of October. And one of the motivations for me is that our country is facing massive challenges. The cost of living increase on a daily basis. More and more South Africans are walking our streets without a decent job. And the massive inequalities in our country still exist in our societies today. So what our country needs more than ever before at this point in time of our history is for leaders to put their differences aside and work even harder to address the historical imbalances of the past. Now, whilst I've been fighting for my rights to prove my innocence, and although I was ready to proceed with the disciplinary hearing, I also realized that this fight between myself and the DA cannot continue forever. And now that the DA have withdrawn the charges against me, I've cleared my name. I've decided to step aside and look into the future. But I also want to use this opportunity to express my deep and sincere gratitude to the thousands of people in Cape Town and indeed around the country that have supported me throughout this difficult time. And most of the time I drew my strength from that support that I have received, and I am internally grateful for that support, and I want to thank all South Africans. I definitely remain committed to serving the people of this beautiful country. I'm a real patriot. I love my country, and I will continue to serve my country. But then I also want to thank the leader, Musi Mamani, and the DA for the opportunity that I got to serve as the mayor of the city of Cape Town. It has been more than 6 years now. I've certainly grown a lot. I've learned a lot. A local government is not the easiest sphere of government to operate from. I've always said it is over-regulated with all of the compliance issues. But local government is also where the rubber hits the road. That is where people can judge any political party. So once again, Leader, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as the mayor of the city of Cape Town. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. And I will take, we will have one round of questions, and then I'd like to move ahead if that's possible. Let me start. One, just remember your number if you can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that will be all for today, if that's possible. If you can just tell me who you are and which publication you come from, we can go from there. Thank you very much.
Marion Merton, Daily Maverick. Quick one for you and maybe also the outgoing mayor. Is Patricia de Lille going to have a role in the DA on the 1st of November? If so, what will it be? If not, what are we looking at?
Thank you.
And the bottom line really is, how do you feel and do you think it is relevant for the DA to have fought the way he did to oust the politician that got the DA a 2/3 majority in the city? Thank you.
May I request that, obviously, we've got 7 questions. If you ask one question, that's very helpful, because if you ask 2 or 3, then it multiplies the questions. But, Marianne, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Leanne Johnson, ENCA.
Sure.
So, what happened in the last week? A week ago, the motion of no confidence in the city of Cape Town was withdrawn. pending the outcome of the DC that was going to take place. There have been several statements that have gone out with the charges or the allegations against Patricia de Lille. So what has changed? Why have the charges been dropped?
Okay. Yes.
Marvin Charles, UK August. Just a quick question. Do you have any advice on how this process unfolded?
Raisa with the Mayor and Guardian. What is
Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Raisa Patrick with the Mayor and
Raisa.
Guardian. What is happening with the court appeal? Will that continue or has that now also been dropped?
Cool.
Paul Owen from News 24. There was much made about this disciplinary process going forward. Now the charges have been withdrawn, what is the message to the citizens of Cape Town regarding sort of questions that haven't been answered? And the question was posed to both the leader, his views on that, and the mayor's views on that. And my second question is, it seems to be a delay between now and October. What is the purpose of those 3 months? And
Honorable member, the request was for one question.
part two, thank you.
I respect you enough, so I want to. It's not a follow-up. You mustn't follow up on a follow-up. Yes, sir.
James Self and Natasha Mazzoni have been very prominent whenever there's been an announcement to be made about the future of the mayor. They're not here today. I was wondering if you could tell us why, and whether there will be any further steps taken in terms of the way that this has been run internally within the mayor, this campaign against the mayor.
I think that covers all the questions, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, before Graham, I get to you. You were the, Graham, yeah?
Graham Revan, I'm a Heart FM News. Well, I'm just as baffled about the about turn, but those other questions have covered that. My question is more about the governance of the city of Cape Town. Are we going to have Deputy Mayor Ian Nielsen as the interim mayor for like a month or two, and then a new mayor is installed, or will there be a new mayor directly taking over from Patricia de Lille, a new face other than Ian Nielsen? Is it going to be Bonga Nkosi Madikizela? Who's it going to be?
That's great. Yeah.
You're talking about transforming society. Which society are you talking about? The city of Cape Town? Is there no transformation here in the city of Cape Town? Taking from what I picked up yesterday in the public hearings, the apartheid spatial planning on land, and residential areas, it's still continuing. And one last thing I want to know, are you aware, are you also part of those alleged decisions? Yesterday, a councillor in the city of Cape Town was saying huge chunks of land are being, public land are being sold, for private use and so on, left, right and center, as you put it. So I want to know from your side, and you've been saying you want to do a transformation in the city of Cape Town and integrating people. But this land that is apparently being sold, it's not really land sold to see integration where you have the people from Mitchell's Plain, Khayelitsha and the rich in one area. So are you aware, is it happening? And now that you are leaving that, you haven't made that yet. How are you going to continue with that task?
Thank you very much. Let me take a few questions and then I'm sure the mayor can comment on those that she needs. Firstly, I think Marianne, you ask a very important question. What is the role of the mayor subsequent? The mayor is not resigning her membership of the DA. She will be bound by the constitution of the DA. Her role will be dictated to by the constitution of the DA, ensuring that accountability is effective, but also ensuring that as all members, we continue to build that alternative in South Africa. So that doesn't change, and I think that's absolutely crucial to keep our context here, and we'll proceed on that. Leanne, there's a lot that's taken place in this week. But I think one of the things is that when we began the discussion earlier on, remember what inspires and drives me and drives that are our values: freedom, fairness, opportunity and diversity, effecting accountability. That's what builds the DA. That's what makes us who we are. That's what distinguishes us from anybody else for that matter. And therefore, within that context, it wasn't just in the last week. The conversation began a long time ago. I came on board as leader, and I think someone asked me what have been the key things. I intervened in the process. We took direct action, and I wanted to make sure that the processes that council has effected, those continue. The processes that the party is engaged with, those those are handled in this manner. So I needed to separate those two things. That's why you can see there's a process around the motion of no confidence. There's also a process around the party. And as you all know, there have been processes in court. Those must continue. There's no question about that in council. But what I think we must also recognize the fact that continuing this matter, you're right, there's a disciplinary, and the party is committed, was ready, going, and so has the mayor's teams. But we felt it was important that, in fact, whilst we await, while other matters of litigation take place, let those carry on. So we feel at this point in time as a party, this resolution helps us find a way to take the city forward. That's a focus. And we've got to get the caucus right in this regard. Sorry, someone asked me a question about the court appeal. That appeal process, Raisa, is still going ahead. So that's one of the things that are on the go. You asked me the question about James Self and Natasha Mazzoni. As I say, the party has had to manage its own processes internally. I had a conversation with our federal executive this morning, and I think when we reflect on the process, we can discuss that at our federal executive going forward. But I really believe what the party sought to do is effect accountability. And I think the mayor equally so sought to defend and uphold the party's constitution and processes. So I think those are important things. I think we should never lose track in South Africa about saying that the relationship between parties and elected representatives is always important. And as I said in the statement, it's always going to be difficult to manage some of these processes. And what I wouldn't want, somebody asked me what are the things that I didn't want to achieve. I think resolving matters in a court process is kind of just, it's not helpful, because judges should not be tasked with the duty of deciding on what politics need to look like. It's why we have such an important principle of separating party and state. And I think that for me had become, if you like, a very important issue that we can take going forward. But I really do think that so long as the principles are in place, you can function in an effective way. And our people have worked incredibly hard. It wasn't a campaign. I think to frame it that way would be wrong. These were individuals who worked hard to effect accountability. When we asked the federal executive to have set up a subcommittee, which has become known as the Steenhuisen Commission, that was an important commission to ensure that we do the things that we needed to do, which is seek out accountability. And I think any political party is entitled within its own way to desire to do those things. It is right. So that the process has gone on, it's gone on for too long, but I really do think that it was in the interests of making sure that we get it right. And I respect the mayor. I think that she's acted in a manner that puts the citizens first, and the work there shall continue. Graham, I think governance continues. So in asking your question about who is going to be the new mayor in the city of Cape Town, we are not going to, I don't want to preempt, there's a process that designs to elect new mayors that will begin to interview all candidates, and those candidates can make their case forward. In the DA, we don't say people must, we don't reward people with public office. What we do is we find the best people for public office. So if anyone stands as mayor, they'll go through our normal selection process, and what I'd hope to achieve is that from where the mayor sits, we can hand over to a new mayor without trying to disrupt services along the way. So that's what will happen in the next 60 days. And so we talk about this handover period. We want to hand over to a new mayor so that by the time we do the transition, it's clean and it's that way. I can't say which individuals will do what, and which the individuals you've mentioned to me they're your guests. In that regard, maybe you should speak to them. I'm looking for the best person to lead the city of Cape Town, to lead that caucus, to deliver services to the people. That's the only criteria. It's got nothing to do with saying I will find, whatever. There is no, I'm not interested in the politics of the issue. I'm interested in the governance of the issue. That is my primary driver, and that will always maintain. Mercedes, I think the project of the apartheid spatial planning, it's a national project. It was in the DA's manifesto. That's why when we ask mayors to stand, whether it be Herman Mashaba, Ethel Trollip, Solim Simanga, or Patricia de Lille, the question always is, we've inherited that legacy. And you raise the questions of land in the city. We're desirous. We always want to give people title. That's the first the issue we take around land reform. We always want to ensure that, in fact, South Africans can own land in their own rights. Further on from that, we always want to make sure that within our own cities, people can work, live, and play. And I think we've taken a stance that says we've always wanted to make sure that, for particularly South Africans who've lived far from urban areas, as part of their inherited legacy, can we find communities where we can build spaces where people can work, live, and play? And the mayor's championed that. It comes out of the DA, and certainly we'd ask the same of Mashaba or Msimanga or anybody, or any mayor for that matter, because it is out of our manifesto. So let me just come in. I'll get the mayor to respond.
Yeah, I'll come to that. Are you done, leader?
Yep.
The next 3 months, what will I be doing? You all know that we are faced with a number of land invasions, and the demand for housing has increased in our city substantially, and that is because of urbanization. I'll be spending a lot of time and trying to find resolutions to that. As you can see, I think, except again for yesterday, we've been able to reduce the number of land invasions all over the city. Also, for the first time in the history of the city, we have exceeded our housing targets this past financial year. So I want to also make sure that I mitigate and that I work with those affected communities by engaging them. I'm currently busy with 20 hotspots around the city, and I will continue to do so. But secondly, I also want to make sure that all our housing projects is landed it is in our budget. And as you know, a new budget is coming in on the 1st of July. And it's a big pro-poor budget. And those are the issues that we are going to ensure that we implement. But like the leader has been saying that, for the transition, once the party has concluded the process of electing a new mayor, I will be there to hand over and to make sure there's a smooth transition. The city continues to run. We've got 26,000 employees that are working every day. And every year I give rewards to all of those committed workers of the city. And the workers, together with the political leadership, has been able to build the city that we can all be proud of. And of course, we have to continue to govern on our integrated development plan. It's being adopted by council. We have landed the party's manifesto in the IDP, and all of that work will continue. So it doesn't mean a new mayor is going to come with new policies because the party manifesto is already in the IDP. Mercedes, on the issue of selling of land, yes, we buy and sell land all the time. And I would like to get the specifics of what the person mentioned yesterday, where we are selling land. We do an audit of the land to make sure that whether we can use that for housing purposes. So I'm not sure exactly about that. But transforming the city is exactly what the leader is saying. It is in the DA policies, it's in the DA manifesto that we need to transform and integrate cities. All the housing projects that we've completed in the city in the past 6 years, they are integrated already. We're no longer building a colored area or a black area or a white area. We go on the basis of whether you qualify and you meet the criteria to get a housing opportunity for the city. So it has been going on for the past 6 years. I think there's one question for Marianne about, like I've said, for the first time now, I can apply my mind. I remain a member of the DA. I will continue to implement the IDP, the DA manifesto. It's important that, like I said, you need leaders to rise above political differences and continue to put the people of the city of Cape Town first. And I am really, really committed to do that. Let me just see what else is there. So Paul, that's the question about Paul Herman, I think, about the 3 months. The 3 months will be for transition, implementing the budget that was just approved by the city, and then when the new mayor comes, the mayor can then just proceed with landing all of those projects of the IDP and the DA manifesto in the budget. I think I've covered everything unless I've left something out.
No, Mayor, you've covered it all.
Yeah.
Let me, at that point, thank you for coming through. And I appreciate there might be some additional questions, but if I've learned anything, people sometimes ask questions from Twitter, because they read Twitter and then they ask me. Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa is in a crisis. That's what we've got to focus on. That's the alternative we're trying to build. And as leader of the DA, we want to stand here and say, we draw a line on this particular chapter, and I want to focus on building an alternative for South Africa. And I'm thankful for everybody here, and I want to thank the Mayor for the work that she's done. And ladies and gentlemen, with those words, I will thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you.
Mr. Maiman, just to find out if there's any maybe likelihood, for instance, that we could just quickly talk about this matter of the mayor's resignation. Just how does this make you feel as party leader? I mean, the manner in which this whole resignation has come about.
Oh, look, we've worked hard to do accountability. I've worked with Mayor DeLille, and I'm glad that we've drawn a line in the sand. Remember, there are principles that we hold. We want to hold everybody accountable. I've sought to hold, to effect, every public representative accountable. And without a shadow of a doubt, I believe that where this chapter has brought us here, has arrived where there's a rising above, the Mayor has agreed to resign, we can focus on really delivery for South Africans, and that's what's become the focus, really.
You say it's a mutual agreement, but has it really been a mutual agreement for her to step down, or is it what you're telling us when behind the scenes it was more a case of basically asking her nicely to vacate the seat?
I think I wanted to draw a line in the sand so we can focus on creating work for people.
What does drawing a line in the sand mean?
It means that continuing the party and the engagement with the Mayor, if we continue with that, I think it is something that I don't think South Africans who are sitting at home expect. And I think we've shown South Africans that actually we're open for a disciplinary, we wanted transparency, and ultimately now the city will continue with its own process, and I think we can draw a line in the sand.
Was it devastating to the party, the ongoing issues that you had with the party, with the Mayor?
South Africans will see for themselves that we're a party that holds up standards, and it doesn't matter what the expense of the matter is, you've got to keep holding people accountable.
Right. Thank you, sir, very much. DA leader, Mr. Maimane, they're leaving. Let's just listen in more to what the former Mayor Patricia de Lille has got to say.
The parklands on the side everywhere. Yeah. So that is it's property developers. It's private property.
Yeah.
That land has been lying fallow for quite some time, but lately it's been just developed very quickly.
Yeah. Cape Town is growing very fast because of urbanization. Some of the private developers, they buy this own land and then they build for what we call the gap housing market. As the city, we're only responsible to provide housing opportunities for people that earn 3,500 rand and less. So all of those other big developments that you see, it's done by private developers, and they have procured the land and they own the land so they can build there. So I'm not, unless it's specific, then I can tell you when. But not every piece of land is owned by the city.
And there was the issue yesterday that was mentioned about communique. I don't know if you heard about it. Many people were very unhappy about the way they are being treated by this communique, and they say the city of Cape Town and the DA are doing nothing about it, and they say they want the communique to fall. And people are talking about some of them are being from the flats, the way they are renting, and then they're just being removed and so on.
The city have on our books 10 accredited social housing companies, and Communique is one of them. So we have got an agreement with Communique and all the social housing companies that they will build a rental stock. So they will then buy the land from the city, build the rental stock, and then they enter into a private contract between the communique and the people that rent from them. Where we can mediate in those private contracts, we've always done so, but it's a contractual obligation between two different parties.
Right. Ma'am, if I may please jump in here. We're live, ma'am. Obviously, it must be a very sad day for you today to obviously have to announce the fact that you're relinquishing your position as mayor.
Well, first of all, I've always said this was not about a position. It was about clearing my name. I feel vindicated, so I feel very happy today. I can now move on with my life, and I can think about my future. And, you know, I've always been prepared to subject myself to an open disciplinary hearing. And with the withdrawal of the charges now, and that falls away, and I'm able to now concentrate on my future.
The leader was telling me earlier on that it get to a point where he had to draw the line in the sand. What did that mean in essence, in reality, for you and your issues with the Democratic Alliance?
I think there are always lessons to be learned out of every experience, and this saga has just been going on for too long. I mean, I felt persecuted, and finally we've come to this solution. So from this point onwards, I would like to move forward and sort of leave the past behind us and continues to focus on what we must all do as public servants, and that is to serve our people.
You remain as a member of the party, though. And also, what does the future hold?
For the first time now, I can think clearly about what I want to do with my future. And I remain a member and the mayor until the 31st of August. I've not applied my mind fully what I really want to do, but in due course, I will make some plans for my future.
All right, ma'am, thank you very much. Well, there you have it. Patricia de Lille, who has just announced her resignation as a mayor of Cape Town. She, just a few minutes ago, she and Musi Maimane, the leader of the Democratic Alliance, held a press briefing where they announced that decision. She will, however, stay on till about the 31st of October to allow, obviously, for the caucus, the city caucus, to elect a new leader, and then for Ma'am Patricia de Lille to continue the handover process and hopefully to continue a smooth transition. From us in Cape Town, for the time being, it's over to you in studio.
Because now the charges have been dropped.
That's our reporter, Lukanya Kalata, there at the press briefing with Patricia de Lille.